I cannot believe what I'm about to tell you. A shocking, absolutely jaw-dropping new report has just dropped surrounding Kyle Tucker, and as the stove burns hotter than it's ever been this entire off-season, a brand new Tucker offer has been leaked that is going to make your head spin. We're talking about numbers so astronomical, so completely insane, that it changes everything we thought we knew about this free agency pursuit. I'm going to break down this explosive new offer that has the entire baseball world absolutely losing their minds, but I'm also going to discuss multiple brand new reports that dropped literally moments ago surrounding the Blue Jays' aggressive pursuit of Tucker as things have heated up to nuclear levels. There's a ton of other updates, folks, and we even have some potential insider information from a current Blue Jays player that has fans absolutely going crazy with speculation. You're going to want to stay tuned all the way to the very end of this video because breaking news is developing in real time. Before we get into the absolute chaos, thank you guys for your continued support. You guys are absolute beasts, and this community has been incredible throughout this entire roller coaster of an off-season. I don't want to waste any more time with preamble because what I'm about to reveal is absolutely ludicrous, and quite frankly, we're at a point now in the off-season where a final decision is absolutely imminent. There's no doubt about it anymore, this is coming to a head very soon. A report just dropped a little bit ago from Jim Duquette and has since been confirmed by multiple other sources from what I can tell, and the numbers involved are going to blow your mind. According to this latest information, the New York Mets have now gone to a 4th year on their offer. Yes, you heard that correctly. They've escalated from 3 years and $150 million that we discussed yesterday to what's now being reported as 4 years and $200 million for Kyle Tucker. Let that sink in for just a moment. 4 years, $200 million. That's $50 million per year. The Mets have completely lost their minds, thrown caution to the wind, and are apparently willing to pay whatever it takes to land Kyle Tucker. This is absolutely crazy, absolutely insane, absolutely ludicrous, use whatever word you want, but this changes everything about how we're viewing this entire situation. This massive offer has completely transformed the dynamics of the Tucker sweepstakes because there is clearly and obviously a full-blown bidding war happening right now between Kyle Tucker's camp, the Mets camp led by billionaire owner Steve Cohen, and the Blue Jays camp backed by the Rogers family fortune. These are 3 deep-pocketed organizations going toe-to-toe in a high-stakes poker game where hundreds of millions of dollars and championship aspirations hang in the balance. Now, I'm going to dive deep into what all of this means for Toronto's chances, analyze whether this is genuine interest or leverage being played, and explore some extremely encouraging updates that suggest the Blue Jays might still be in the driver's seat despite this eye-popping Mets offer. But something extremely notable to point out right away is that Steve Cohen himself has reportedly become personally involved in the recruitment process for Kyle Tucker. I've been saying all along that if the Mets truly go all out to acquire Kyle Tucker, it will be because they have Steve Cohen's unlimited resources and willingness to spend whatever it takes. He has a natural financial advantage over almost every team in baseball with his multi-billion-dollar net worth. But here's the crucial counterpoint. Ed Rogers and the Rogers family who own the Blue Jays are not one of those teams that Cohen has a massive advantage over. The Rogers are worth billions themselves, and if the Blue Jays genuinely want to pursue Tucker at a crazy number, they absolutely can match or exceed whatever the Mets put on the table. Let me know down below in the comments what your thoughts are on this absolutely bonkers number, because $200 million over 4 years with Steve Cohen personally involved represents a seismic shift in this negotiation. Now, you have a bunch of people across baseball Twitter and various media platforms talking about this offer and what it really means, and I want to share some of the most interesting takes because there's a lot of legitimate analysis mixed with wild speculation happening right now. Johnny, who's been following this situation closely, posted that he thinks the 4 years and $200 million figure is essentially non-existent or at minimum not representative of the real structure. He believes this is being leaked strategically to scare the Blue Jays and create leverage in negotiations. Joshua chimed in to add that these reported numbers are always lacking crucial context, and there could be heavy deferrals involved that make that $200 million top-line figure not truly representative of the actual present-day contract value. And all of these points are absolutely valid and worth considering. Contract structures can be incredibly complex with deferrals, escalators, opt-outs, and various other mechanisms that make headline numbers misleading. But here's what's also undeniably true. No matter how you slice it, no matter what deferrals might be involved, no matter what the fine print says, that number is absolutely crazy. And the fact that Steve Cohen is personally involved in the recruitment process is just as important as the dollar figures being thrown around. Blue Jays writer Andrew Stoughton offered this excellent analysis. Obviously, the Mets have to try to blow the competition away with dollars. I mean, they're asking a guy to commit his future to the Mets organization. Realistically, the Mets are just being used to drive up the price for the team Tucker really wants to play for, which hopefully people are talking about as being the Toronto Blue Jays. Now that perspective is what gets me excited and gives me genuine hope that Toronto can still pull this off. The theory here is that Tucker and his agent Scott Boras are strategically using the Mets' aggressive offers to create bidding war dynamics that force the Blue Jays to increase their own offer to Tucker's desired number. I'm genuinely shocked that the Mets are reportedly willing to go to 4 years and $200 million. That is an absolutely crazy number no matter which way you think about it or try to rationalize it. But based on how these situations typically play out, it seems increasingly likely that this massive offer is being used primarily as leverage rather than representing Tucker's actual preferred destination. When I say leverage, here's specifically what I mean. Tucker's camp and Scott Boras are leaking these enormous Mets offers to try to pressure the Blue Jays into increasing their long-term offer. Let's say hypothetically that Toronto is currently at 12 years and $400 million, which would already be a massive commitment. Boras wants to push that number up to 12 years and $420 million, or $450 million, or whatever Tucker's actual target number is. This theory coincides perfectly with what Bob Nightingale just said during an appearance on Foul Territory that has Blue Jays fans absolutely fired up with optimism. Nightingale stated that he thinks Tucker fits much better with the Blue Jays than with the Mets both on and off the field, and that Tucker is absolutely looking for a long-term deal because he doesn't want to go through this exhausting free agency process again. Remember, Tucker just had a baby, he's got a growing family, and stability and fit are extremely important considerations for him at this stage of his life. Yes, that Mets 4-year, $200 million offer is fantastic money on an annual basis. But if the Blue Jays can flex their financial muscles, and make no mistake, the Rogers family and Ed Rogers specifically have massive financial resources, they can absolutely go out and offer Tucker $400 million or more on a long-term deal that provides the security he's actually seeking. The reason all of these numbers are being leaked right now is almost certainly because Kyle Tucker's camp has strategically fed information to specific reporters and media members to create public pressure on the Blue Jays to increase their offer. They're looking for something like 12 years and $450 million, and they're using the Mets' short-term offers as leverage to get there. Bob Nightingale reported specifically that he believes Kyle Tucker's camp is hoping the Blue Jays will significantly increase their average annual value on a long-term deal, and that at this point Toronto is clearly prioritizing Tucker over Bo Bichette in terms of where they're allocating their resources and focus. That makes perfect sense given Tucker's elite production and the fact that Bo seems increasingly likely to sign with the Phillies. I'll have a full comprehensive video breaking down the Bo Bichette situation tomorrow morning because that's developing into its own wild story, but right now all eyes are on Kyle Tucker and whether Toronto can close this deal. And thinking back to yesterday night and the video I posted this morning, there's been this interesting narrative developing around what Ben Nicholson-Smith reported that has people making jokes and wild speculations. Ben Nicholson-Smith said the Mets should be scared about their chances of landing Tucker, and people are jokingly saying that his reports somehow spooked the Mets into immediately upping their offer to this 4-year, $200 million proposal that we're now seeing. It's obviously not that simple, but it does show how intensely people are following every single development and comment from credible insiders. Here's something that I think is extremely telling about what's really happening behind the scenes. For all these offers and numbers being leaked at this critical juncture, the Blue Jays' specific offer has not been leaked with actual dollar figures. Neither has the Dodgers' offer for that matter. The ONLY team whose numbers keep getting leaked multiple times is the New York Mets. The Blue Jays' offer was leaked only in the general sense that it's a long-term deal significantly longer than what any other team has been willing to present. No other organization has stepped up with a genuine long-term contract proposal to Kyle Tucker at this point in the process. 4 years from the Mets is drastically different than the 10 or 12-year deal that the Blue Jays are presumably offering. It could even be 8 years, but regardless, there's a massive philosophical difference. This is a wild, chaotic, absolutely insane time in the Tucker sweepstakes. We have Jeff Parsan reporting that a deal is imminent. Multiple credible insiders are saying final decisions are happening very soon. The fact that the Mets went from 3 years to 4 years is extremely notable information that tells us negotiations are intensifying and reaching their climax. But here's why I think this is actually leverage being played rather than Tucker's true preference. When offers from a specific team keep getting leaked repeatedly while other teams' offers remain quiet, it usually means that team is being used to drive up the price. The Blue Jays aren't leaking their numbers because they are confident in their position. The Dodgers aren't leaking because they are playing it close to the vest. But the Mets' numbers keep appearing in reports, which suggests Boras wants those numbers public to create urgency. I want to get your thoughts on something because there's been fascinating debate in the Blue Jays community about what all these leaks really mean. There was a tweet from a concerned Jays fan saying, "This is the first time in this whole process where I'm not feeling confident anymore," after seeing the Mets' 4-year, $200 million offer. But Johnny quote-tweeted that and completely disagreed, saying, "I actually feel better after seeing this kind of leak." Kyle Tucker clearly wants long-term money and security, and I doubt he would enjoy going through this free agency process over again in 4 years. So where do you stand on this critical question? Do you think the Blue Jays are being used as leverage to extract more short-term money from the Mets? Or do you think the much more likely outcome is that the Mets are being used as leverage to get the Blue Jays to increase their long-term offer to Tucker's desired number, which is ultimately where he wants to be? I'm personally leaning heavily toward the Blue Jays still being favored in this situation for several reasons. First, we've seen this movie before where the team whose numbers keep getting leaked publicly almost never ends up being where the player actually signs. Second, all the credible reporting suggests Tucker wants long-term security, not short-term maximized annual value. Third, the fit with Toronto makes so much more sense for Tucker's situation with a young family. And here's where things get absolutely wild with a potential insider leak that has Blue Jays fans going absolutely crazy this morning. Miles Straw, the Blue Jays outfielder who was Tucker's teammate with the Houston Astros, posted something on his Instagram story that has created massive speculation and excitement. Straw posted asking if there's anywhere in the Sarasota area, where the Blue Jays hold spring training, to get a jersey framed. And prominently featured in that Instagram story was a K. Wiley Tucker jersey. Now, to be completely fair and accurate in our reporting, this was a Houston Astros Kyle Tucker jersey from when they were teammates, not a Blue Jays jersey. But the timing and the specific nature of this post has people wondering if Straw knows something. The post was later taken down, which only added fuel to the speculation fire. Was this Miles Straw accidentally revealing inside information that Tucker has decided on Toronto? Was he just trolling Blue Jays fans who he knows are desperately following every development? Was it completely innocent and we're all reading way too much into it? Straw could have simply posted text on a black background asking about jersey framing services in Sarasota. He didn't need to include the Tucker jersey prominently in the photo. The fact that he specifically chose to show that jersey on the exact same day that the most information has dropped surrounding the Tucker sweepstakes in the last 48 hours seems like quite the coincidence. I'm not going to speculate too wildly about whether this definitively means Tucker is signing with Toronto, but it's certainly an interesting data point that adds to the intrigue. At minimum, it shows that current Blue Jays players are paying attention to this situation and potentially trying to recruit Tucker publicly or send subtle signals. The stove is burning hotter than ever, folks. It is absolutely as hot as it has ever been this entire off-season. I might even do a live stream tonight for you guys if major news breaks because this situation is developing so rapidly. It's going to be crazy over the next few hours, hell, over the next few minutes because new information is dropping constantly. I'm literally refreshing Twitter every 30 seconds as I'm recording this because the news cycle is moving at breakneck speed. 4 years and $200 million from the Mets is an absolutely insane offer that the Blue Jays probably won't and shouldn't try to match on a short-term basis. But long-term, Toronto can absolutely go out and flex their financial muscles through the Rogers family resources. The Blue Jays can offer 10 or 12 years at $400 million or more if that's what it takes to land Tucker. Jon Heyman came out and said he thinks it will ultimately be one of the Mets, Blue Jays, or Dodgers who land Kyle Tucker, which narrows it down to 3 finalists. Heyman also indicated that Tucker is looking for a long-term deal based on his reporting, which aligns perfectly with what Bob Nightingale said and bodes extremely well for Toronto's chances. I'm genuinely hoping that what Bob Nightingale reported is accurate. Now, Nightingale is wrong sometimes, every reporter is, but he's also right quite frequently, and he has legitimate sources throughout baseball. Hopefully this is one of those times where his information is spot on and Tucker genuinely wants the long-term security that only Toronto is offering. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this entire wild situation. Do you think the 4 years and $200 million from the Mets is real or just leverage? Do you think Tucker will actually accept that short-term offer, or do you believe he'll ultimately choose the Blue Jays and their long-term proposal? Leave your honest predictions down below because I want to hear from everyone in this community. Do you think the Miles Straw Instagram post means anything, or are we all just desperate for any scrap of information and reading too much into an innocent coincidence? Was Straw trolling, accidentally leaking information, or deliberately dropping hints? Tell me what you think. And here's the big question. If you were Kyle Tucker, what would you choose? Would you take 4 years and $200 million from the Mets with the plan to cash in again at age 32? Or would you take 10 to 12 years and $400 million plus from the Blue Jays, lock in generational wealth for your family, and never have to worry about free agency again? The next 24 to 48 hours are going to be absolutely crucial for the future of the Toronto Blue Jays franchise. This is where championship windows are maximized or squandered. This is where front offices prove their commitment to winning or reveal their limitations. This is where decades of franchise trajectory get determined by single decisions. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Mets' escalating offers, the leverage dynamics at play, the insider analysis about Tucker's true preferences, and the wild Miles Straw Instagram speculation, smash that like button right now. Your support means everything to this channel and helps us continue bringing you the most comprehensive Blue Jays coverage anywhere on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already because breaking news is literally developing as we speak. Kyle Tucker's decision is imminent, and when it breaks, you're going to want to be notified immediately so you can watch our instant reaction and analysis. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single update. Share this video with every Blue Jays fan you know because they need to understand what's really happening with these leaked offers and why there's still genuine reason for optimism that Toronto can land Tucker. Drop a comment with your prediction, your analysis, your hopes, your fears. I want to hear from all of you. The stove is absolutely raging right now. 4 years and $200 million from the Mets. Steve Cohen personally involved. Bob Nightingale saying Tucker wants long-term security with the Blue Jays. Miles Straw potentially dropping hints on Instagram. Jeff Parsons saying a deal is imminent. This is absolute chaos in the best possible way. We're going to keep you updated every single step of the way with comprehensive analysis, instant reactions, and the insider perspective you've come to expect from this channel. This is it, folks. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Kyle Tucker's decision is coming any day, any hour, any minute now. Will the Blue Jays land their superstar? Will the Mets' money prove too much to overcome? Will the Dodgers swoop in at the last second? We're about to find out, and it's going to be one hell of a ride. Thank you guys for watching. You're absolute beasts for sticking with this channel and this team through all the ups and downs of this wild off-season. I'll see you guys in the next video, which could literally be in a few hours if major news breaks. Stay locked in, stay hopeful, and let's pray the Blue Jays get this done. Let's go Blue Jays. Let's land Kyle Tucker. This is our time.